All right. The light is red once again. Welcome to Mind of a Mustang. I'm Isaiah Guzman, hosting here with your athletic director, Dusty Moniz. And our special guest today, I don't really hardly know jack squat about him, so I'm gonna let Dusty introduce him in a little bit. But he's been here for a few years now, 3 years, and is one of the coaches, and has made an impact here in a short amount of time with the Mustang family. Before we keep moving, though, I wanted to let you know that this thing is getting more and more real as we go, as we keep using guests as our guinea pigs to mess up and get better. You can find Mind of the Mustang anywhere you listen to your podcast. So Spotify, Apple, where else? YouTube. So go check us out, Mind of the Mustang. Yeah, again, this is Isaiah Guzman, former coach and teacher here, and just a person who loves the Mustang family, still loves this place, feels like God's anointing is on it. And just getting to talk about sports and faith with my brother, Dusty Moniz. So go, Dusty. Tell the people who got.
This is my first intro, so here.
Nice.
All right. Well, this guy has a decade of coaching experience. I'm not going to say exactly what he's coached. We have a little element of surprise in all these, so I won't totally explain what he's coached yet.
Yeah.
Because that'll give it away.
Yeah.
But he is a proud Mustang dad of 2 sons. Can't say their names yet either.
People are wondering, like, huh.
This guy, you probably didn't know this about him, but he has competed in 25 Tough Mudders. So if you know what that is, that's a pretty serious and intense race that has a lot to do with grit and resilience and doing what is hard to better yourself. I'm going to start giving it away here. So
Go for it.
Here's the thing. This man has led a team to something that has not happened here at Monte Vista in our history in this sport. So in cross country, Eric Beckman, he has led his team to winning the Gabalin division, which is the highest division in our in PCAL.
That's awesome.
And went on to get a runner-up in the CCS, Central California, and then went on to get top 10 in the whole state of California, which is a tremendous accomplishment. We got some banners we got to hang up.
It's crazy.
In Dave Hart Gymnasium. And, he's got two boys on the team, Gavin and Owen, who are amazing runners. Gavin's going to go on, and we'll let him talk more about this, to compete at the college level. Owen seems to be on a similar trajectory. And, his coaching leadership has been marked with a ton of success. And, we're just so pleased to have Coach Beckman here in the podcast room with us today.
No, thanks for having me.
Yeah, man. Well, let's talk a little bit just about this year's experience. You were expecting to have a great team. I don't know if you were expecting to have as good of a team that we ended up with, but I know you did some goal setting with your team, and just kind of go over with us the short version of from start to finish. Where did you guys start the season at, and how did we end it?
Yeah, so we started the season. The last 2 years, we've done a trip up to Truckee in July before the season starts. And after the dinner, we all got together, and then we set a bunch of individual and team goals. And the first season here, we made the state, and that was just a surprise. It was the first time a boys team had ever gone to state for cross country. And then the second year, we had pretty much everybody back, so we thought we'd go back again. And then so this year, we had lost 2 of our top seniors, but we had a couple good freshmen coming in. 2 of the freshmen were on my club team, and one was my son. And we thought we'd be good, but we weren't sure how good, because it's the distances are much longer in high school. And so,
what is that? It goes from 2.2 miles or something like that?
Yeah. So middle school, they ran a 4K, which is 2.49 miles.
Okay.
And then and that's for club. And then for middle school, it's a 2 mile.
Okay.
So it's a decent jump and a lot more elevation. Courses are a lot harder. And so I think we were all on the same page. Everybody wanted to, to win a league. And at the time, I wasn't sure if we were going to be in Mission or Gavilan, because we hadn't had the coaches meeting yet. And I thought for sure we could win Mission. And then they put us in Gavilan, which was cool. And then our goal was we've like my first year here, we placed third at CCS. Second year, we should have placed third again, but we kind of choked at CCS, placed fourth. And then we wanted to place top two because top two got the plaques. It's a big thing to be top two in CCS. And then we wanted to place top 10 in state. First year we went to state, we got 22nd out of 24 teams. The second year we got 12th, and we should have placed top 10. And so we were kind of bummed out, and we're like, let's go for this, see if we can place top 10. And then we had some individual goals. And so then that was kind of the summer. Then we got to August, tryouts, and everybody, kind of bought in. Everybody we had really good chemistry with the boys team. This is actually the first year we've had a full girls team. We had 7 girls total. And then, the boys, we had a total of like 15. We had 7 on varsity and 8 on JV. As the year progressed, our first meet was the big one. It was at home. It was a Mustang Invitational. And so I invited Aptos and Scotts Valley, which are 2 tough teams. Aptos they're known for their cross country. And the year before we got smashed by them here. And so I knew if we could beat them, we were going to be looking pretty good. And we ended up beating them for our Invitational. So we won that. And both Scotts Valley and Aptos, they're probably number 2 and number 3 in CCS for their division.
I used to write for the Sentinel, and they were always powerhouses for sure.
They're good. They just have some good runners.
Yeah.
And so we ended up beating them, and then we just invitational after invitational, we were placing top 5 or we were winning. All our league meets, we swept everybody. And we're running against Alisal, which is a powerhouse. Salinas, another, and these are all D1, D2 schools. Watsonville, Carmel, and we're beating everybody. And then we win the Ram. We beat Bellarmine. And then we go to Clovis. We get 5th over there. And there was I think 12 of the top 15 teams in the state that were there. And we got 5th. So that was good. And then we went to Nike Invitational. That was probably our worst seeding, but we placed top 20. We were the only D5 school in the top 20. We were only a D5 school in the top 25. And then, then we go down to Mount Sac. We won Mount Sac for the small schools. Gavin ended up winning the race overall. My youngest son got 3rd overall. And we had 4 guys in the top 9.
Wow.
There. And then the girls did really well there. Finley and Anna, they placed, I think it was first and 4th or something like that. So they both did really well.
We'd be remiss not to also recognize how good those 2 did this season. And
I know I always talk about the boys because the boys team they were so good. The girls team, I mean, they were good. I have 2 really good runners, and the other ones are, they're not all true runners. They do other sports. And a couple of the girls, they just did it just to get in shape for some of their sports for like the spring and winter, and they all improved. There wasn't one person on the team that didn't improve significantly this year. Maya, she's a lacrosse player. Her 5K time improved by 3 or 4 minutes from the start of the year to the end.
It's crazy.
Yeah, so it was good. And both the boys and girls, they made it to CCS. Girls just missed going to state. So overall, they had a great run. 2 of the girls, the individual, they made it to state. And then the boys got 2nd to Menlo. Menlo they're always...
Yeah, they're good.
Yeah, they're always top in state. Last year, they were the top team in California. They got invited. They did so well at the state championship that they got invited to NXN. And for a small school, under 600 people, being better than everyone in the state.
Mm-hmm.
What's NXN?
It's the Nike cross country championship. So
it's a big deal. It's like a nationwide thing or a state? Or okay.
Yeah, so after the state cross country championship for California is the last one. All the other states, they've already had their state championship. Then they've had the regional NXNs. you qualify for either Nike, and you have to like win them outright, or you can go to Brooks, or you can go to New Balance. New Balance is in Alabama. Brooks it used to be called Foot Locker, is now Brooks. It's down at Mount Sac. And yeah, Nike has the best runners. Like they're all going like D1.
Yeah.
Like Oregon's after them, Stanford, you name it.
Right.
Yeah.
All right. So, a couple questions. I mean, the cool thing is I don't know you from Adam, so like I got questions for you that I'm curious for myself, or that people probably don't know about you either. So I'm just going to be firing away to get to know you. But I run. Dusty runs too, and I'm sure you run. I want to know a little bit about your background in running and kind of where it still fits in your life. But for people who are listening who may not be running nerds, like explain to them, like if you can, like in a short way, how much of a team sport cross country is, because people think it's such an individual thing, right? But like I know I covered cross country state and CCS for the paper back in the day, and so I realized like how important it is for the group to run as a group, right? So you could have two amazing runners finish top 1, 2, right? But if the rest of the pack is way far back, you may not win, right? So
right.
Maybe for people who aren't running nerds, how could you explain how important it is for a cross country team to run as a team? How important that team element is,
Yeah. So for the team aspects, I think that's what kind of set us aside from a lot of the teams in the league. You have to run in packs, and so you can score. It's like golf, low score wins. So if you come in first, you get 1 point, and so forth. So our team right now, we had a pack of 3. They were always, top 7. So say if they got 4, 5, and 6. Now our next, and only the top 5 on a team score, but your 6, 7 guys can actually knock out, if they're good enough, they can knock out the other team's 5.
Right.
So if you're 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, if they're running really close to it, like a pack, they're knocking other teams further back.
Right.
And we're getting this low score.
Yeah.
And
so how do you foster that then as a team like that? How do you foster, other than saying, hey, you slow guys, keep up with these crazy fast guys? How do you, you know what I mean? Because like as a baseball coach, we've done it, right? Like we're like, you guys are running triangles because you're messing around at practice, and like, hey, guess what? If the slowest dude right now like
doesn't make it,
you guys are running again, right? So it like puts it all on the slow dude. But how do you foster that buy-in and that family and that team, that unity in a cross country team?
So I think, a lot of our practices, that's how we practice. It's kind of I try to, foster up like a family kind of affair. It's like when we're doing our track workouts, I always pair up. I tell them, you can't worry about, our top 3 runners. They're going to run a certain way. I go, you have a time that you have to beat. You have a group that you have to beat. And all you're trying to do is, better yourself. And so we have paces that we hit. So during practice, we're hitting those paces and you're running with that group. So you're getting used to running with, my 1, 2, 3, they're always running together. And sometimes I'll throw my 4 guy in there as well. Mm-hmm. So my 1, 2, 3, 4, my 5, 6, 7, they were always running together. No matter what, we do our easy runs, they always run together. When we do our track workouts, they're running together. So they're always hitting the marks, and they're getting used to seeing that person
pushing each other.
Yeah, push each other within striking distance.
Right.
And that's kind of what I tell them on a course. Like you have your pace, you're going to hit those. And as long as you can see the guy that you're supposed to be near, you're good.
That's cool.
Yeah. So I was at that CCS championship meet, and it was one of the coolest things ever, because I'm actually standing next to Coach Beckman here, and he is yelling, going nuts, motivating these kids as they're running down the kind of the final stretch, the kick, right?
Yeah.
For those of you who don't know, the kick is the last 200 meters, and I'm standing right next to him. He doesn't know I'm there. Has no clue. Like when I found him later, I'm like, hey, he's like, oh, did you just get here? I'm like, I was standing right next to you.
He's screaming.
Let's go. Just screaming, I was like, you didn't notice the guy being like, let's go, Mustang?
Yeah. Well, I'm sure you're running all over the course too, right? I know. I bet. Yeah, that's your cross country coaches are running all over.
Anyway,
the course.
like, I mean, I'll let you kind of elaborate on the story, but it was an amazing ending. Like, and it really helped us, get second place there.
It was, yeah. I mean, there's like, I know what teams we have to beat. And so Delano, he was my number 5 runner, and he had to beat Nueva. And I knew that was Nueva's. I didn't know if it was his 4 or 5 runner. And so I'm yelling at Delano. I'm like, you got to beat him. You got to beat him. And he took off, and he ended up beating him. I think he got him like right at the very end.
He put like a mark out on this poor kid. Like, go just point him there, pointing right at him.
Like a laser scope,
And the kid, and our guy, like,
he took off.
Man, he just took off. And then who was it who caught our number 3? Didn't he have crazy?
Connor.
Yeah.
Connor had so Gavin and Owen, my oldest, he was our number 1 runner all season. And then Owen was number 2. And then Connor's our number 3. So they're coming down the hill. The hill is about 500 meters away. And I think Owen and Gavin have probably about 80 to 100 meters on them. And I saw Connor just flying down. He's a really good 800 meter runner.
Wow.
And he has an incredible kick. And he wanted to beat those guys. And so they got about to me. And I think I had said, Connor's coming. Or I said, go, Gavin, go, Owen, go, Connor. And I think it surprised Gavin and Owen to hear
when they heard that name,
Connor.
Yeah.
And so they started kicking.
Yeah.
And because they didn't want to lose to Connor. And so I think with about 50 meters left, Connor, because he kicked so early, like he was dead. So, it was seriously 1, 2, 3, those guys. It was like 6:09, 6:10, 6:12.
Wow.
It's crazy. And
they all had huge PRs.
That's one of the things I love about cross country.
Yeah.
Because it's like they're competitive with each other, and it betters, it's like this very grueling sport, right? But they're competitive with each other, and they also want each other to do well.
They do.
Like and
they're
I
happy
think
for each other.
sometimes in other sports, it's like, I got to beat this guy out on my team so I can play,
Totally.
I love that about cross country.
And I think with this group right here, like they are all very competitive, and they didn't want to lose to each other. But it's also bragging rights. So if someone did, like in the beginning of the season, Connor did not want to lose to the 2 freshmen, Joey and Owen. And then I think it was like the 3rd meet in, at the Jackie Henderson, Owen sat on Connor pretty much the whole race. But then we got on the track and on the turf. And then I think Connor saw Owen, so he ended up taking off, and he won. And then, but after that, I think Owen beat him almost every time. Owen started sitting on Gavin, and then Gavin didn't want to lose to his younger brother. And so, they would have, it was always like the last 200 meters, and then Gavin would outkick him.
How much do you attribute the success to that competition, like that healthy competition?
I think it's a huge part of it.
Just in my own experience as an athlete, like the best team I've ever played for, we were the most competitive, as an ice hockey team in college. Like the one year we had a ton of success, when our coach would have us play like mini games. And in hockey, actually, like you have like a 30-man roster, only 20 something guys dress. So a lot of guys are sitting in the stands.
It's great.
And these mini games were like it was like small serve. Like you didn't play the whole ice. You played like mini games. That's why I call them that. And so we'd go against each other or whatever. And that was like, it was like, with that group, it was like war, because everyone was so competitive with each other, and then there was success. And I feel like, that's a little bit of what you were experiencing this year. Was you had some athletes who really wanted to. It wasn't just like we want to beat the other teams, but we want to better each other, like iron sharpens iron kind of thing.
Yeah.
And
I think it's contagious, because I think it went all the way down to the JV level, with a lot of my freshman, sophomore runners there. And even the girls, I think it made Anna more competitive. It made Finley more competitive, Allie, Maya, all of them. So I think it was, hands down, the entire, the program, varsity down to JV.
Cool.
So
what's your background in running? I was just curious, because you seem fit, and then you obviously have 2 boys that are really good runners. So I'm sure you still run, and I'm just curious.
So I ran to get in shape for basketball. Basketball was my main sport. And then I think it was like And then, you know, I got into my late 20s. I didn't want to play basketball anymore. I was worried about like, you know, rolling my ankle or blowing something out. And I got into running more. I started running some 5Ks and 10Ks. And my buddy's like, oh, you got to do a Tough Mudder. I'm like, what's that? And he goes, oh, it's easy. If you can run like, you know, 4 or 5 miles, no big deal. You can do pull-ups, push-ups, and all that. And I'm like, all right, cool. Well, he didn't tell me you get shocked. And so we go up to Tahoe and do that, and it hurt.
You actually get shocked when they put like live table and then the water.
He is shocked.
Yeah, it's crazy. No, they have electric wires that are hanging down.
We should have started a show with this.
But it's direct current, so there's no amperage running through it.
Yeah.
Right, so torture, basically.
It's torture. It hurts. Like, it could drop you. Like, you run through and you're getting shocked and your body's like...
Do you have to sign a waiver before you do these? Like, in case you die?
Nobody dies. Nobody...
Like, stuck. You get shocked and you just...
Dude,
can you get shocked?
I've seen people run through and they get shocked, they drop, they get up, and they get dropped again, and then you just start crawling out.
In water?
In water.
So you get shocked and to go face down.
Yeah, so I started doing those, and then I got into the world toughest mudders. It's a 24-hour race.
That's crazy.
And then that one, I think there was like 2 or 3 obstacles that had electricity. Yeah. There was one, it was called Operation, and it's you have to hold a metal pole, has a hook on it, and then there's a metal circle that's electrified. You're standing in water, and then you're trying to grab like a ring on the other side with the hook.
Yeah.
So if the pole that you're holding touches that circle, shocks you. And so like the first few times is fine, but you're about 14, 15 hours in. You're tired. You haven't slept.
Yeah.
You've been...
I mean, if you
might have...
So how far are you going on...
The most I did was 65 miles. So
14, 15, that's crazy. I mean, if you're 14 or 15 hours in walking laps around a suburban neighborhood, you're going to be fried.
Yeah, and this one, it has 24 obstacles. The one I did had a 40-foot cliff that you jump off. So like the last mile, you got to this cliff and you jumped off into the water, and then you had to climb up had like this cargo net.
So this is the last mile, you said?
Yeah. So
you're exhausted.
Yeah. So it's a 5-mile loop, and you do this loop as many times as you can.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So I might jump off this hill 14 times, this cliff.
You said it's 45 feet?
No way.
It's about 40 feet.
Like into a swimming hole type of thing or
It's a
something?
lake.
Yeah. Dude, we need to do this,
I
too.
want to do it one time around. I'm so good.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah. It's
Out in Vegas, you said?
it was in Vegas.
This is summer, spring, winter, when?
It was winter.
All
So
right. Yeah, so it's not 120 at least.
no,
Yeah.
it was always November. They've
Okay.
moved it now. It's not at this place anymore. But the first year I was there was a sandstorm. So it was about, I think, 1:00 at night. You know, it was probably like 50-something degrees. And then the sandstorm came in. It dropped to like 32 degrees.
Oh, wow.
And some of the obstacles are in the lake. You're having to wade through the lake, go underneath obstacles, climb up walls. And I had worn, I had a wetsuit, but I had my farmer one on. And I was like, I can probably make it one more lap before I put my full one on. Well, that was a mistake. I got about 20, 25 minutes into it, and the storm came.
Yeah.
And it was blowing sideways. You couldn't see. It dropped to like 32 degrees.
Yeah.
I ended up getting hypothermia. There was a ton of people who got hypothermia.
Yeah.
Couldn't run anymore.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah, it was miserable. I was about 40 miles in after 12 hours. So I was on pace to get, anywhere from like 70 to 80.
Yeah.
But then I was done. I tried to get warm. I had one of those blankets on.
Yeah.
I'm sure your body just starts failing at a certain point. Like, it's not even if you have the mental, like, toughness anymore. It's like my leg actually won't move.
Yeah. Yeah. It was a little both. Like, mentally, I just didn't want to go out there anymore. I was like, and I was cold. I was like, how am I going to get warm?
Yeah, people don't realize. I fought fire for a while out in the desert, like around like Utah and Nevada, and like it could be 100 degrees out, and a thunderstorm rolls in, and it's like blizzarding wind and raining and cold, and then 10 minutes later it's 110 degrees again. Right? So yeah.
Yeah.
So what in that? What is the mental space of your last couple laps when maybe not like before the hypothermia, or like when you're in that last bit of a race like that? Like, what is happening to your body? Take us through what that feels like.
So
Keep going.
I think take out that first year, I went back 3 more times. And the second year I went, I got 55 miles and, it was still miserable. Like you're running at night, going through tough terrain. And I think what it was for me, I just realized like everybody's feeling the same thing. You're just trying to push through it.
Yeah.
And you're trying to get to daylight. Once you see daylight, then it's like, all right, I only have a few hours left because you start at, it's 10 a.m. to 10 a.m.
Mm-hmm.
And so as soon as daylight hit about 7 o'clock, you're like, all right, I got 3 more hours, maybe 1 more lap.
Only 3 more hours.
Yeah. But after you've gone 21.
Yeah. If you're like nothing, I'm sure.
Yeah, big deal. It's a lot of, just trying to stay positive, you're like praying to God that, nothing's going to happen and just kind of help me get through this. And it's just, and a lot of it is, just fighting through it and just making sure your nutrition is like huge and, you stay hydrated, don't cramp up. And yeah, I mean, I think year 2 and 3, that's what I was, thinking. It helped a lot. And each year I got better. And then the last year, I ended up getting like mild hypothermia. And I wanted to get back out there. I kind of sat in my tent. I was trying to get warm. And Gavin was actually my pit crew. I think he was, what was he? He might have been maybe 10 or 11.
Mm-hmm.
And I was allowed to have, so my wife and both my boys were in my pit and my brother-in-law. And Gavin and Johanna and Owen, they went back to hotel, slept. They came back. And I was at 40 miles when they left, and I was at 40 miles when they came back.
Oh, yeah.
And so Gavin's like, oh, what's going on, Dad? I'm like, I'm struggling right now. I go, I'm trying to get back out there, but I can't. He's like, he goes, have you tried?
Huh.
And I said,
10 or 11-year-old boy.
Yeah. I said, no, I haven't. He's like, well, why don't you just get up and try? He goes, just see what happens. And I'm like, and I looked at my buddy because he was in the same situation. We both were running. We both were like just freezing.
Yeah.
And I said, you ready? And he's like, yeah, let's go. We have to. He goes, your 10-year-old kid is telling us to get out there.
Dang, that's powerful. I feel like that's beautiful. I mean, having kids, like I know, like I can picture that moment. Like even my little 5-year-old daughter has said these profound things, right? And you're like struggling. You're like, some things, maybe they're repeating back to you something you taught them, and other times it's like the Lord speaking through them, and you're like,
right.
That's so cool. That must be powerful to have your 10 or 11-year-old boy out there with you, kind of like pushing you along, right?
No, it was amazing. I think that was by far, my best one, just with them being there. And then, him, them believing in me and, him saying that when he's coming back from sleeping and just those words.
I mean, yeah,
meant a lot.
If your family can't push you, like strengthen you to keep going, then nothing will, right? Like even me just running some 3 to 5 mile run, and like you're thinking like looking for some mental motivation. You're picturing like if your family was dying and you had to run this last mile, right? Like that can push you along just for some dumb little neighborhood 5 mile run. So imagine like even more so when your family is literally there saying like, keep going,
Yeah,
that's true.
That's cool. So clearly, all right, so your background is running gnarlier stuff than any of us ever will. Lots of self-torture. So if you're like, when your runners are like complaining about doing mile repeats or whatever for like an hour, like exactly like they got no place to, they're looking at you for sympathy and they ain't going to get it basically.
Yeah.
That makes sense. Totally.
Yeah. And then in 2016, I started my club, my cross country club. And that's kind of where I got into the club stuff. Because Gavin really liked to run. And he started with the track club in Morgan Hill. And then I was helping out. And then the guy who started it, he's like, you want to do the cross country part? And I said, sure. And so I kind of started that. It started with like 4 kids. And then my first year I had, I think I had 3 of the 4. They went to nationals in Alabama. And then the next year it got a little bit bigger and bigger. And every year I had someone go to nationals. It was usually like 3 people.
Cool.
And then, so I had that for about 10 years. And like I said, 2 of the kids, well, actually 3 of the kids that are on my team now, both my boys, and then Joey, They were all in my club. And then, I also helped out at the charter school in Morgan Hill.
Mm-hmm.
So I helped out with their track team the last like 6 years.
Okay.
And I also helped out with their cross country team the last 6 years. And then I coached basketball 10 years there.
Wow.
This is the first year I haven't coached for them.
Wow. So you didn't grow up like so then you just started running to help you with basketball. You didn't grow up like a hardcore runner. You weren't a high school runner or like
I should have.
You didn't run in college or anything like that?
No, I
Did you play basketball? Okay.
Yeah.
So you played basketball at a higher level.
Yeah.
Like okay. So the running was like, didn't really start till like later in life.
Yeah. Yeah.
Crazy.
It started, like I said, I probably should have ran cross country. I probably should have done track. My dad really didn't push me into those sports. He was a big basketball and baseball guy.
Yeah.
I started with baseball, and then I was soccer, baseball, and basketball were my three. And then I was probably better at baseball, but I really loved, probably my best sport was soccer. And then my dad, I think, hated soccer, so I kind of went away from that. And then baseball, I was probably better at baseball than I was at basketball. But then in junior high, I kind of switched to just playing basketball. And then my dad was my coach. So he started an AAU team when I was in junior high, and I pretty much just played basketball year round.
Wow.
Cool.
Yeah, I didn't see you. I walked in here, you're already sitting down. So I'm guessing you're like, what, 6'2", something
No,
like that? Or?
I'm not that tall. I'm only like 5'11".
Or six.
So I'm fine. I wish I was 6'2".
Yeah, I wish I had one more.
My brother's like 6'5", but my sister's taller than me.
Well, my wife's from the Netherlands. Everybody's tall. We're like the exact same height. So if she wears heels, it's over. So I gotta wear like cowboy boots if we want to date, basically. So, but I was just curious, like just connecting all this stuff. I just like hearing all that stuff. I think like nobody does what you've done unless they're seeking something, right? Like people don't just climb Mount Everest to climb Mount Everest. Like climb it to like seek something. I think doing those Tough Mudders, right? It's not like nobody puts themselves through that if they're not seeking something bigger. So I'm just curious, like hearing that, like what drives you in that stuff, and how has running helped you grow as a human being or in your walk with the Lord? Because right, there's so many scriptures that talk about running, right? And I this like Hebrews 12:1-3, the one about like being surrounded by a great cloud of witnesses and running with endurance the race set before us, right? Mm-hmm. And then Paul talks about it in Timothy, like I have run the race, I have finished the faith, right? So like I feel like running for me, right? Because me and Dusty both work out and lift weights and stuff like that too. But like, there's no greater, I think we'd agree, there's no greater like mental grind than running, right? Mm-hmm. Like lifting or getting the gym workout doesn't do the same for you as what a gnarly run does, right?
Right.
So I'm just curious, like what pushes you, and how would you say it's helped you grow as a human being or in your walk with the Lord?
So I think running, I think it's just, I think it just pushes me to, be better. It's like everybody else's sport, running is punishment. And for me, I think it's more spiritual. Like I love to go out on the trails and wake up early in the morning, go out in the hills, kind of get to the top of a hill, and then you look out and you're like in the wintertime, you're like in the cloud cover. And it's just, just looking out at what, God has, created. It's very moving for me. I think running it's like a stress reliever too, like from work and just everyday life. I think even with, running with the team, like we go on like long trail runs on usually Saturdays during the season, during the summer. And I think just being around them and being out on the trails and seeing how much they enjoy it, and just we joke around, have a good time. It's just like great bonding. Mm-hmm. I've been around other sports. Basketball is not like that. Like I love basketball, but it's not the same. Mm-hmm. And even when the kids, I know some of the kids, they don't like to run like all the time, but when they're out there, you can tell they're having a good time just being with their friends and, just enjoying it.
Yeah.
I just think it's very, spiritual for me, I
Yeah.
guess.
Yeah.
Big time.
There's something about like the flow state sometimes that happens in running. I mean, for me, sometimes I'll go on a run. The first 10 minutes are a nightmare. Like, and you just feel so bad. And then all of a sudden, it's like my body just kind of hits a rhythm. I don't know what it is. It's
a runner sign
to loosen up. And
Yeah.
all of a sudden, the next hour, I barely notice I'm running at all, and it's hard still. But I think it's like, there's something about hard work feels good. I mean, even in sport, you mentioned like running being punishment in basketball, and that's true, right? Like sometimes coaches get frustrated. It's like, all right, we're going to condition instead of scrimmage,
Right.
But man, and this is something I want our kids to like really grab hold of, is like hard work is good for you, and it's not just good for your make you a better athlete, but it's actually good for your mental, your mental health, and that runner's high is a real thing. And the only side effects are like lowered heart rate, and you'll be in shape.
Yeah.
And so it's one of those things that, like, if you're not a cross country athlete, or you're not really consider yourself an athlete at all, I've always said cross country, track are two wonderful places to take a chance as a high school athlete, because one, the camaraderie on those teams are almost always unbelievable. It's something about going through hard things together that binds a team together.
Yeah, right. Sure.
And then it's a lifelong sport. You start doing it, and then you fall in love with it. You begin to get a little bit, I mean, I don't want to say addicted, but it's the truth. Like, I'm a little bit addicted to exercise now, and I think that's a really great thing for kids to get into, in their high school years or even earlier.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I know every time I go on vacation, like say we go to Cabo, I'm always going on runs like on the beach, or we go up to Tahoe a lot because we love snow skiing. So we're going up for Christmas, and guaranteed me and the boys will go up there and we'll do, a few miles before we hit the slopes. It's just, and the air up there's, so fresh.
Yeah. I love that burn in your lungs when you go for a good run. It's like, and it's kind of, if you go for a really good one, it kind of stays the rest of the day. It's just like that deep, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's down there in your lungs. Yeah.
Your boys got to do that, because, I mean, you got one on the path to college.
Yeah.
So I know we got a signing day coming up. I don't know why don't we announce that here? Announce what's going on with Gavin.
Yeah, Gavin, he signed his letter of intent for Northwest Nazarene University. So it's a D2 school up in Idaho. We looked at a few schools, and this one was a good fit. We met the coach. He's a very spiritual guy. He was really, down to earth, and just the conversation with him, the walk through campus, and just kind of, talked about how much he really wanted, Gavin to be there. Some of the other coaches said, similar things, but this guy really, he's been texting Gavin, seeing how his season was going. Just little things, giving him, calling him up, asking him how state went. So I think it was just after the meet up there, up in Nampa, after he sent his, the proposal, what they were going to give him. Like, I just talked to Gavin, like, if this is what you want, I go, you like the coach, like the school, great opportunity. I go, then if you sign here, you don't have to, there's no pressure this year.
Yeah.
And, you can go into the track season, try to get your PRs, whatever you want to do, but you have no pressure to sign anywhere. Like, you're done.
Yeah.
So, and he wants him to run, cross country, and then pretty much indoor track and outdoor track.
Cool.
So distance.
It's awesome.
Yeah.
Congratulations, Gavin.
Yeah.
Heck yeah.
Pretty awesome.
I don't know you, Gavin, but congratulations. That's cool.
Amazing accomplishment.
Yeah, big time. So a couple things. So we try to do this segment in the middle of the show, but we're kind of at the end here, so it's all out of whack. Like, as we learn to do this, all right. We try to make it like the halftime thing, like coaches talk, right?
Yeah.
But we're doing it here late, and but I figured it'd be cool since it's a running episode. We'll call it like hitting the wall instead of coaches talk. So what it is, like, we usually ask a coach or whoever's a guest, like, what would coaches give that speech at halftime if you're down, right? What would you tell your team if you're down at halftime? But this is like metaphor for life. What would you tell your team? What would you tell somebody who's down in life, down in their walk with the Lord. And you don't have to be a spiritual guru, but so if you don't have some crazy spiritual something that you want to share, like, we talked about when runners hit that wall, what would you tell someone? And if you don't have anything there, like what do you just tell your runners? I bet you there's somebody who can get something bigger out of that. Like, when every runner hits that wall, what do you tell them to break through that wall, or to push on?
Yeah. So I think what I would tell, my runners or anybody is, especially, say it's like at the end of the race, everybody's struggling, in a race, in life, or whatever.
Yeah.
And, whether it be good or bad, you gotta push through. God is always looking out for you. And I think, I would have told these guys at the end of the race, it's all heart. It's, everybody's feeling it. Everybody's feeling the pain. Your legs are tired, but it's what you have in here, what you believe. And if you believe you can do better, you will. If you have any negative thoughts, I've told these guys multiple times, if you have any negative thoughts, it's going to show on the course. If you think positive, if you think, you have that extra 100 meters, 200 meters, you'll have it. Right. Like it'll come out. So, and that's kind of what especially the last 3 races, you get the league championship, CCS, and state. That's kind of when I told these guys, it's the end of the season. And, just throw it out there.
Yeah.
This is it.
I love the idea of like, was it Ron who brought up kind of like the renewing of your mind?
Totally.
Yeah.
I was thinking of, yeah.
And I've been thinking, I hear a lot of a lot of sports psychologists. I listen to podcasts and stuff like that. And one of the things that I hear all the time is like creating mental pathways for success. Like this idea of like what you tell yourself actually really matters. Mm-hmm. And if you're spending a ton of time thinking, about the negative elements of the last 200 meters of a race, it'll play itself out often. And I hate the manifest ideas like, oh, you got to manifest it. But there is certainly something to like in your mind teaching yourself to think about achieving that goal and what that will feel like and what that's going to look like and what the things you need to do to get there, and spending as little as time as possible on this could go wrong and that could go wrong, or I could feel this way. Mm-hmm. And we all have those thoughts. Like they're going to be there. Yeah. They're going to be there before a game or before a race. But like, I think kind of the part of the renewing of your mind from an athletic standpoint is just trying to push that aside. Right. 100%. And it's the same thing in life. When we talk about faith, it's like the renewing of your mind to live Christ-like, to live and walk in the Spirit instead of kind of in the flesh. But I think part of that is continuing to not always be so introspective, but like just being like, this is how this is the Christ-like way to walk in this situation, and I'm going to carry that out instead of thinking about kind of maybe past guilt or shame or things like that. Yeah. Kind of like creep in.
No, dude, 100%. I don't think we have to have some exact scripture in the Bible that says like, think positive. If you think positive, you'll get positive results. I think we've all experienced it, right? If we're thinking negative and stuff, like you get some negative results. You think positive, I think it does play out. Like we've experienced it running. Like if you've ever run a race, like I ran cross country in middle school, but I ran a 10-mile run in Philly when we were living out in Philly, the Rocky Run, which now after your runs makes me feel weak. I'm like, I finished, yo, Adrian. I ran 10 miles and finished on the Rocky Steps. I did pretty good. I was like in the top 100 something out of like 4,000. But I just thought like that boost you get when there's people that on the side of you think you're giving all you can, and then you run by a few people. They're like, let's go, you got this. And all of a sudden your pace picks back up a little bit, right? And you realize you're like, right? That little bit of encouragement and positivity, you're like, oh, I guess there actually was more in the tank. And that's what the kick is, right? You think you've given all you can, and then you see the finish a couple 100 meters out, and you're like, somehow you can sprint, and you got more in there than you think you do, right? And And yeah, you can, and that's a good picture for life. You can push your body in a run like that. You can push more than you think you can to the point of failure, and you can do it in life too. I don't think I've ever seen so much puking as I have at a high school cross country meet, you know?
Yeah.
Because people are giving all, like those runners, they're giving all they have. They're pushing their body to the limit, and they cross the finish line.
They're puking, they're collapsing, you know, and whatever.
They had like people at the CCS one, like on standby to like help kids not collapse in the middle. I was like, wow, this sport is rough.
Yeah, is this okay?
There's like people puking everywhere. They're like trying to like cart kids off. And
Yeah.
it's like, wow, these kids are, and I think it's almost hard to watch.
It's gnarly.
It's almost like, just,
Yeah. Now I remember covering it for the newspaper, and I'd be talking to kids, and like they want to shake my hand after an interview. I just give them the fist bump. I'm like, I just saw you puking 5 minutes ago. So
Waving their hand.
yeah.
Well, I'll give you a little, since you brought up the rocky runs. I ran in a cross country race, my first one ever, and there were some kids from a neighboring school that was like they were like the best in the state. You know, they're gonna win it. And I just want to go on record saying I was actually in first place for the first 150 meters.
Nice. That
First race at Liz, I died. I made 100. I was
I could picture you doing that.
just
So
all the like before the race,
yeah.
sitting there with the adrenaline, and I just, as soon as that clock or the gun went off, I'm elbowing people out of the way, and I'm down the race. Yeah. I was beating, who would later be like a D1 kid for, the first 150 meters. And
It
got real ugly after that.
They're like, what is this fool doing? They knew exactly what was going to happen. Totally. That's cool, man. Well, yeah, I don't know. Anything else, guys? I feel like that was pretty awesome. Yeah.
It was awesome. And I just want to say congratulations again on an amazing season. I can't wait to throw those banners up there, and we're going to have to put some of the pink shorts in the...
Yeah, I got a box to bring, so it has all the plaques, trophies. Cool. I got the pink shorts.
Yeah.
And
they wore pink shorts.
That's awesome.
They're invitationals. They got to pick them out. It was banana pink shorts.
Nice.
And so we did something fun for all the invitationals.
I mean, like bright colors is like the thing now, right? Like banana ball and all that stuff. Like there's like bright neon, pink, yellow.
It was nice to be able to you could see them, like a black jersey, and you're like, because they're far away.
That's cool. It's always the Monte Vista jersey with the pink shorts. Or
yeah,
that's cool.
Yeah,
it's
that's
pretty cool.
So
those they're like pieces of history now.
Yeah.
Anyways, all right. Well, Gracie, again, congratulations. Shout out to all the cross country runners. Amazing job this season. You guys have left quite a legacy, and can't wait to see what happens next year.
Yeah, dude, we definitely want to. I want to pick your brain on those Tough Mudder runs. I'd seriously be into. I don't know about a 24-hour one to start.
No, commit on air right now.
So I would go with the Spartans now.
Spartan.
So we switched over to the Spartans.
Okay.
And so both my boys do Spartans now.
Do you get shocked in those or?
Shock.
I actually would be down.
Spartans. It's the coaches, part of the curriculum.
Yeah. There's actually one down in Salinas.
Yeah.
This summer.
Yeah. Oh, is there really?
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
How long? Like what?
You can
3 miles, 5, 10.
So the sprint is about 4 miles. The super is roughly 7 to 8.
Yeah.
And then the beast is like 13.
Crazy.
Yeah.
We're doing it.
Dude, I would be down.
They're fun.
I'd be down. It'd be cool.
Do you get shocked?
No, that one you don't get shocked.
And shocked.
You don't at the Spartans. That would be cool. Yeah, the Spartans you don't get shocked. You have to throw a spear.
Yeah.
You have to lift heavy stuff, and then you have to climb a rope. I'm not very good at climbing the rope of all things. That one's like the hardest.
Yeah, I'd be down. I'd love that. I tried out for American Ninja once. So I like that.
Yeah.
But I'm also type. Yeah, and that's why I would be bummed no shock because I'm the type of guy who like touch a cattle fence on purpose just to see how.
Yeah.
Like, is this thing gonna hurt or what?
All right. Well, this is we got to do the thing where you like tag people. So like, I'll tag Jared Title right now.
You know, people
Our strength and conditioning coach and CJ Cecil, our associate athletic director.
Dang.
I'm trying to think of anyone else who
I'm down.
do a Spartan race.
You can do those as a team, right?
You can.
That's
yeah.
cool.
That's probably the best way to do those.
Yeah.
Let's do it. That'd be fun.
My brother's been wanting to do them for a while. I'm down.
Yeah. They're fun.
Right on, man.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, we're at 52 minutes. So
light is red. It's about to go green, which means off. In this world, in the recording world, green means off. Red is on. So,
all right.
Right on.
See you guys later.
Thanks, man.
Cool. Thanks.